This is my informative speech for oral communications. This is my audience, plus a dog. Hello, my name is Zach Barton, and I'm going to talk to you today on the pros and cons of biking to work. It is no secret that our world is warming. According to climate.gov, the 10 warmest years in the historical record have all occurred since 2010. With temperatures constantly on the rise, we might be putting the next year at the top of that list on and on until we do something about it. Because of this, many people have wondered what they can do to help out. Well, one way is to cut down on greenhouse gas emissions. As of September 2022, road transport accounted for about 16% of emissions globally. One way for us as individuals to cut our carbon emissions is to commute by bike. However, not many people are doing so. Why is that? In this speech, we will explore both the pros and cons of biking to work so we may get a better answer to that question. One benefit of biking to work is the health benefit. Not only does increased activity have physical health benefits, there are also significant mental benefits to it as well. According to Australia's Victoria Department of Health, people who exercise regularly have better mental health and emotional well-being and lower rates of mental illness. Sometimes our jobs aren't the most fun place to be. If we can boost our mood before we're setting foot in the door of our regular job, who knows, maybe we start to enjoy it a little bit more. Eventually, could shift from a non-fulfilling job to an enjoyable career. Of course, people will worry that it would be unprofessional to show up to work all sweaty and gross smelling. There's good news on that though. Going back to the Victoria Department of Health, exercise doesn't have to be strenuous, structured, or take a long time to have benefits. This means that you wouldn't have to go at the pace of internationally renowned Eddie Merckx to see lasting improvements to your physical and mental well-being. There is also a greater purpose to biking to work, one that exceeds even us as individuals, and that is lowering our carbon emissions. Carbon dioxide, or perhaps you've heard it more as CO2, is a major greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. When we use vehicles that burn fuel, we release carbon dioxide and other chemicals into the atmosphere. This in turn heats the planet through a process called the greenhouse effect. And eventually, if it continues to happen, it could threaten to flood the globe if we don't die of overheating first. However, we can prevent this. Assuming that the average vehicle drives around 11,500 miles per year, the Environmental Protection Agency estimates that the average passenger vehicle emits about 404 grams of CO2 per mile and about 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. Being realistic, you would only be able to bike to work about half the year. Given the weather and temperature issues, it would be hard to justify commuting this way year-round. Even if you biked to work half the year, you would still cut your carbon emissions in half. In theory, of course, but when we are talking about adding potentially 4.6 metric tons of carbon to the atmosphere, every little bit helps. So, not only does biking to work have benefits for the mind and body, it also helps to save the planet. However, as I stated, there are also costs to commuting this way. One of the main concerns for a lot of people when considering commuting by bike is time. Obviously, biking to work will take you longer than driving there. Zippia estimates that the average American commute time is 27.6 minutes. Extrapolating from Google Maps' estimates for travel time, the average bike commute would be about double the projected driving time. This nearly double commute time is a major deterrent for potential work cyclists. It is especially deterring because we live in a monochronic culture. What I mean by that is we view time as a commodity, something we can possess. Have you ever heard the phrase, time is money? If someone wastes our time, we equate it to a robbery of our money, often because we could have been doing something else with that time. If you are late to work because the bike ride took longer than anticipated, you risk losing credibility, or even worse, your job. Of course, Mother Nature loves to ruin our plans. Using biking to work is a very unreliable way to commute because over half the year you can't because it's too cold to do so. Now, too cold is a very subjective phrase. I define too cold as being to a point where I have to dress in more than long pants and sweatshirt. I'm sure others would agree that biking while bundled all the way up is not only uncomfortable, but inefficient. And really, who wants to be miserable on the way to work? You're just setting yourself up for a less productive day. According to Forbes, happy employees are up to 20% more productive than unhappy employees. This statistic varies from field to field, but it remains a universal constant that giving something 120% of your effort is better than giving 100%. As we can see, there are both benefits and things to be desired about biking to work. On the one hand, we have physical and mental benefits, such as being in better shape and mood boosts. On the other, we see that biking to work is not for everyone, especially if you have a long commute to work or when the weather is too cold. There's a growing necessity to care for our planet, and of course, every little bit helps. There is also the necessity to continue to arrive on time and maintain credibility and employment. No matter which path you choose to go, you can feel confident knowing that you're making an informed decision. Thank you.